Hi drummers, hope you're well. Right, quick talk about here the regular Trinity College London drum syllabus, the new one, versus Trinity Rock and Pop. Now, I put some video demos up in the last week or so for this new syllabus from Trinity College London, the regular drum kit syllabus, and it prompted a lot of questions. People ask me, does this replace Rock and Pop? What's happened to Rock and Pop? Do I need to switch? Is this harder? What's it all about? So I'm going to try and sum this all up as quickly as possible. Two things to say at the start. One is I don't work for Trinity at all. Nothing to do with them. I just think this is a really great, both of these syllabuses are a great way to learn. I think they're the best, fastest, most efficient, most enjoyable, most thorough way to get good at playing the drums. You start off at the initial level, you establish, a baseline level of skills, and then you stand on the shoulders of that for the next level, and the next level you get, if you do the exams, the feedback of somebody telling you, yeah, you sound good at this level, or maybe you need a bit more work at this level or whatever. Or if you're perhaps working with a teacher or whatever, they'll tell you, yeah, you're hitting this level now and you can go up. So I think they're both a brilliant way to learn, but I don't work for Trinity. And the second thing is, well, I kind of touched on it there actually, they're both really, really good, right? So before I get into the details and comparing them, if you follow regular Trinity drum syllabus or Rock and Pop, and you engage with it and you do it thoroughly and you don't cut corners and you truly engage with the learning of the skills involved, you will at the end be really good at playing the drums. So they're both really, really good. Now, just getting into the details of the differences, just two streams. The Rock and Pop thing, as the name suggests, focuses on classic rock and pop music, and just kind of mostly on that. So it's songs that you would recognize and love. In the early grades, it's like, as you probably heard, arrangements of those songs, but it's as it goes along into the later grades, you're pretty much getting the full versions of the songs. I've heard it said, oh, this one's easier, like it's a bit of an easy number. Maybe it's more accessible when you first get started. By grade 8, make no mistake, this is challenging stuff, man. This is tricky stuff. I've gone myself to take the grade 8 exam for this. And yeah, man, it's not a giveaway. It's a full-on thing. So yeah, that's Rock and Pop. Pretty straightforward. It's rock and pop music. By the way, it's still reading music. You still have to do some theory, so to speak. You still have to understand what you're doing. And there's some supporting tests. You actually choose between a thing called playback, which is basically sight reading, like reading a piece of music, but you get to hear it as well, and then it was an improvising test. On the other hand, regular Trinity drum kit syllabus is much more wide-ranging in terms of the styles. So you've got, to my ears, big band music, musical theatre, funk, jazz, soul, blues, swing, like all the sort of thing you might end up playing in an orchestra a little bit as well. So it's much more wide-ranging. You also have in this syllabus here, playing rudiments, right? So rudiments are explicitly part of the test that you do and part of the learning. In Rock and Pop, if you did lessons here with, I guess, in my opinion, what would be a good way to learn, if you do lessons in that way, you'd still do rudiments along with Rock and Pop and loads of sort of technical exercises like that, physical development exercises. Here, they're explicitly in the exam, so there's no sort of way out of that. You perform them in the exam, so that's the main difference, I would say. I'd say it's a little bit more challenging overall, not by much, and it does depend on the songs you're doing, but it's a little bit more challenging overall. It also does some cool things that I really like, so besides the wide-ranging styles, it gets your left foot involved, or whatever your not lead foot is, on the hi-hat right from the start, which I think is really good. One of the things I noticed about Rock and Pop, much as I love it, it's great. Sometimes when guys and girls hit sort of grade 4 brown-eyed girl, they've got to do the hi-hat along with the snare in the chorus, and occasionally it sort of blows people's mind, So it just gets your hands and feet all working right from the start, which I really, really like. And I think the other big thing I'd say about these two syllabuses is if I think of Rock and Pop as if you want to get started and you love contemporary music and rock and pop music, and the main thing you want to do is play in bands. You like the idea of reading music, which is definitely part of it, but you basically want to get up and running with music, and the primary focus for doing it is enjoyment and getting playing music, especially music that you recognise straight away. On the other hand, I'd say the regular Trinity College London syllabus is for the drummer who's pretty serious about their craft. So you don't necessarily have aspirations to turn professional, or it could well be that. It's actually just that you are pretty serious about your playing and you think you'd like to be, or perhaps you are already, in a position to go out and play in musical theatre, in a pit in the theatre, or in an orchestra, or in a big band, as well as a rock band and a jazz band and all the rest of it. So it's just more wide-ranging. So that's kind of the choice, I guess. Now the other thing is to say you don't have to choose. Now if I think back over the years of being here, 5 years of being in this studio, and lots of teaching I did in schools and colleges and stuff before that, my most sort of quote unquote successful students, the students who sort of engage the most with this and are now out playing and doing these amazing things and conquering the world, doing all these sort of cool things, playing professionally in some cases. They did both, honestly. Like, they studied both. Not necessarily that they did the grade exam for both, but actually, when I think back, yeah, the real superstar students I've had over the last few years, all of them studied material, plenty of it, from both of these syllabuses, as well as from rock school, and as well as loads of other stuff outside of this as well. So you don't have to choose at all. There's nothing wrong if you're working at the grade 1 level or grade 4 level or whatever. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using both. You might say, well, I haven't got time for that, I need to choose. Fine, I'm just saying it's possible, and I've witnessed lots of people do it, and the result of them engaging with both of those has been just more and more like understanding and skill building and development. So those are that's as far as I'm concerned a really, really good option. Obviously that takes time, but the other thing is as well, and this is perhaps a different conversation, but I think it's just worth touching on here, and that's that as you develop your skill and as you progress, and if you're truly learning this instrument from the perspective of let's develop my set of skills, the way that you will end up learning the songs is actually very different from somebody who hasn't really developed like the skills involved in all this stuff. In other words, you can learn songs quite quickly, honestly. If you learn to read music and you master that, there's stuff that's involved here, which most people can. I think most people can if they engage with it. Almost everybody can if they engage with it. And if you engage with the theory and you've got a musical ear and you develop the skill set, the physical skills by doing your rudiments and all the rest of it, if you develop those skills, you can actually learn the songs quite quickly. So funnily enough, I find as drummers progress and go through the grades, they actually can take on more and more material at each level, and they can end up easily doing both. Like I say, like a drummer who's really worked on their stuff and developed by about, I'd say, grade 5 or grade 6, I've seen it plenty of times, can rattle through all of the tunes from both of these syllabuses quite quickly, as well as rock school. Once you've got the skills together, the game completely changes. So I don't want to get too off course with that, but I think it's just worth saying. Now, just to recap, rock and pop, it's a ton of fun. It's not easy, especially when you get to the later grades. It's pretty full on, man. There's some serious challenges in there, but it's primarily based around the idea of getting up and running quickly, playing songs that you recognise, and having an absolute blast doing it. I think it's completely brilliant. Especially for I've got a lot of adult guys who come along here, like adult learners, so to speak, and they just love the idea of playing songs they know straight away, as well as doing some sort of studious music theory stuff. So that's that. And then the Trinity College London syllabus, the regular syllabus, this is the real deal. This is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. It's much more wide ranging. It's a little more serious, I guess. It will certainly involve, for most people, playing some stuff that there isn't a natural sort of thing that they would gravitate towards listening, but the result would be you'll be the most rounded possible musician with this route. My best advice of all, if you can do it, if you've got the time and you want to engage with this instrument, do both, and rock school as well. Go for it, man. Hope that clears everything up. If there's any other questions, let me know. I feel that covers most of the questions that have been asked. They're both here to stay. One hasn't replaced the other at all. This new regular Trinity College London drum syllabus, that's just an updating of the old syllabus which just expired. So that starts officially in 2020. Rock and pop, the last syllabus started in 2018, so that's going to be here for another 2-3 years at least. Hope that's cool. Any questions about it, give me a shout. And can't stress enough how much I love these syllabuses and this way of working for the drummer developing. That's cool, I think. All right, see you soon. Thanks a million.